We have a collection of actually Clarity vases. It comes in several different colors. What's really unusual about it is that it has a slightly asymmetrical placement of the circle, but it has this wonderful lip that goes inward that allows me to do the following design actually. What I'm going to do to start with is prepare some of the mechanics that I'm going to need to create a simple armature. And this is actually Smithers Oasis fine wire, and I cut it up into pieces like that so that they're ready to use. And the other component that's very important in this particular design is this material called Midollino. It's one of my most favorite. It's very fine, it's very supple, it bends very, very beautifully, so I'm going to use that as the main material that I'm going to use to create the armature. I'm going to twist tie this together like this, and then I'm going to actually put this inside of that lip so that it stays and gets wedged sort of underneath. That's really the whole purpose of this method of creating this armature, is that it wedges inside so that it doesn't pop out. That's the beauty of this lip that this particular container provides. Now this is a very economical, again, design. The cost of the containers is very well priced, as well as the Midollino itself is a very well priced material. I think it comes about 200 stems to a bunch, so you can see that it goes a long ways. And so I'm going to just simply go and start to tie some of these ends together. Notice that I've split the initial bunch into halves so that I'm going to get a lot more mileage out of the placement of this these loops. And I'm going to just continue to tie. And you know, it's really, there's no real system other than just have fun, play, create just loops that sort of interweave into each other. That's the main thing. And each time you make this, it's going to be a little bit different, but that's the beauty of more of a authentic, different pieces each time. I think that makes it a lot of fun. And then I'm going to bring it around and slip it in. And this will be sort of the final finish. I'm going to go ahead and cut a couple more pieces so that it finishes off this process very nicely. So this will be about what the armature will look like so. And what I'm going to do, these excess wire, I've tied it, twist tie it maybe a couple times around so that it's nice and tight. I'm going to cut these off so that it keeps it clean. This is a case of where the mechanics is repeated over and over and over again, even though there may be unsightly ties at the beginning. Because of the repetition of the technique, it becomes a certain system and it becomes more of a handcrafted look. But the consistency of the finish is very, very important, so you have to go and clean it up very nicely. There's on occasion you could even keep it so that the ends are all left on. If that may be the look, then you have to keep it all the same so that there's a consistency in the finishing quality of the design. I see this piece keeps wanting to spin out, so let's just tie that down as well. There. So that's really the simple basic mechanic. And into this, I'm going to use aspidistra, and I'm going to split it so that I can get a little bit more out of it. This way I could then thread into some of these slots and then weave it back in, through, and around, so that I can get a very nice sort of sculptural flow that actually, in fact, somewhat repeats the feel that's been created already with the loops. So it's really, again, a repetition that makes this design very strong compositionally. So this one, I've actually split it 3 times so that I can get little thinner pieces out of that. And I'm going to, again, slip it in, always making sure that the ends of the foliage goes into the water, because that's what's going to keep it, the foliage looking and staying fresh. So I'm just going to kind of do a sort of surround kind of a look with it, weave it through so that it makes it interesting to finish. See, I can pull and wrap, and I'm going to keep that a little bit more to the top, so let's just bring that back and around so that it stays a little bit more to the top. So it's like this. And then into this, I simply take a couple of gerbras, and I'll just sort of sink it in to a spot, maybe right in there. It just has some good support for the stems, because the armature provides spots for the flowers to rest. In this case, for instance, I might just make it so that it stays right in the top area, so that maybe this is kind of the design that it becomes, so that we have a pair like that.